Well, here we are. It is October 29th, 2024, and in this video we're gonna talk about the Woolley Wallis sale that's coming up on the 12th and the 13th of this month in November. It is a great-looking pair of sales. There's 3 sales involved actually. There's a fine Chinese works of art is part 1. Then there's some very, very good Japanese stuff coming up, and then Asian works of art part 2, which also has some good things. And if you're not familiar with Woolley Wallis, they're over in the UK. They do a really good job with their auctions every time around. The owner of the company is actually a big Asian art fan himself, John Axford, and but they handle a lot of other stuff. If you're familiar with them, you'll go through and you'll see the depth of this operation. They do very good auctions, and I'm going to start though with the Asian sale that's on day 1 on November 12th. It's a very interesting looking auction, and on the cover, of course, is Alfred Morrison, who was the owner of the legendary Fonthill collection of Chinese art, which has been the source of a lot of controversy over the years. The finest of the imperial pieces taken from the Summer Palace, many of them did end up at Fonthill, which have since been dispersed over the years. But they had other Chinese art that was acquired through other sources as well. So it's always been a bit of a murky area as far as provenance goes when it comes to objects from Fonthill. There's a mystery, and it's not without its critics, but it is some great stuff. And this is the Fonthill mansion. There are 3 lots in the sale from Fonthill. It's not all Fonthill stuff, but there's a lot of lots in this sale from other very fine English country houses that have been there, long established. You don't have to worry about authenticity and provenance and all that. You can take those concerns right out. This is all legitimate stuff from very good English estates, and that is a big thing today. And the power of provenance, you're going to find out as the sale goes through how much it matters. All right, and one of the pieces in the sale is this exceptional, and this is from this house. This is from the collection of the 9th Marquis of Waterford. And there's the country house, and there's a bit of a write-up on here in it, and you can go and look it up if you want to know about all the heraldry and the symbols and so forth, but we're interested in the art. And this is it. It's an exceptional Kangxi vase. It measures around 18 inches or so inches tall, but what makes it really interesting is the quality of the decoration. The quality of the cobalt on this is the best of the best of the best. And if you look at the tone of the color, the tone, the depth of the color, the thickness, the sapphire blue, and the very white porcelain, the beautiful potting, this is an exemplary example. It really is. It's estimated at 20 to 30,000 pounds, which seems actually reasonable for what it is. You'll see other yen similar to this that have somewhat similar decoration, but not as good, that will sell for maybe 8 or 10,000 or 15,000. This is a superb example, and premium pieces bring more money. That's all there is to it, and this is a great lot. It's a great example. And then you flip the page over and you come to this, and you see a lot of copies of these on the market today, but this is a legitimate duo. They're not truly a pair. If you look at them, there are slight variations of transitional period beaker vases. These are really nice ones. They measure, one of them is 40 centimeters tall, and the other one is 41 centimeters tall. So they're around 20 inches roughly. Is what that works out to. But they're very nice. You're not going to find, typically in transitional period wares and late Ming wares, that sort of thing, making pairs was really not a thing. They did similar example, they did complementary example sometimes, but not often. You got into pairs much more during into the maturity of the Qing dynasty, the Kangxi period onward, Yongchen, Qinlong, Jiaqing, Daoguan, all those periods. But in the transitional period, they did more or less one-offs. The kilns were sort of left to their own devices. It's a fascinating period. The Butler collection and all that. And here you have 2 of these beakers. 2 beautifully done beakers, estimated at 20 to 30,000 pounds. I think that's reasonable. I think they're wonderful as a pair. They read just fine as a pair, and you don't see it very often. I think they'll probably do a little better than that, but you don't know. Leave a bid. Leave bids. And then you come over here, more Kangxi porcelain. This is all from that house. A very, very lovely pair of powder blue ground Kangxi vases. Exemplary color, nice looking, 52 centimeters tall. Modest estimate, 4,000 to 6,000 and so forth. And then you have another pair of Kangxi beaker vases. And I'm not going to be able to go through all of them. There's a lot of material in here, as you'll see. Here you have another pair of transitional period vases estimated at 25,000 to 35,000. These are wonderful with soldiers on them and so forth. Beautiful quality. Again, I think they're worth it. And these are two of my favorite. I love big biscuit decorated food lions on plinths. I've always liked these. I always point them out when they come up. And this is a really nice pair. These things are huge. I want to give you the exact height on them because I think the estimate is very, very reasonable. Unless they have a ton of restoration, I think the estimate is low. But let's see. These are where's the dimensions on this thing? God, they bury them, don't they? They don't make it easy. Where are the dimensions? There they are. 46 centimeters, so about 18 inches high. These are big, 18 and a half inches high. And these are really lovely Femi-Vert Kangxi period food lions. I've liked these a lot. Beautiful colors, nice looking plinths on them, beautifully done. I like the standing food lions, the turquoise ground, all of it. Very, very attractive. And they look to be in good shape. They look to be in very, very good shape. I don't see, sometimes you see cracks in the corners of the plinth. It has a nick out of the corner of the base there, but that's about it as far as I can tell. They will have additional pictures. If you like these, get a hold of them. And they are illustrated in here in one of the estates in an old photograph right there. They circle them. Here they are. But they are exemplary. If you're looking for a really great pair of these, and you can pick these up for, well, they're basically saying they're worth around 12,000, well, 7,000 to 12,000 pounds a piece, which I think is very reasonable. These are wonderful Kangxi examples. All right, and then there's more Kangxi places. There's a lot of 3 plates, Kangxi jars, Kangxi vases, Kangxi. Then you get into the collection of Hinton Daniel Stewart. Died in 1926. He had 7 lots from this family, including this very, very fine piece of cloisonne. Some very good jade examples. There's the Chunlung jade bowl, cloisonne bowl we just looked at, estimated at 10,000 to 20,000. Very, very nice example. It looks to be in outstanding condition. Yeah. Very nice shape with characters on it, marked base. How big is this thing? Should be about 7 inches, 6 inches and a half, almost 7 inches in diameter, about right. And then you get over here, more Kangxi, a bridge handle teapot and so forth, another Kangxi drum form pot. And then you have this really, really nice sort of late Ming, early Qing gilt splash bronze bowl. And these are the 3 Fonthill treasures. There's an incense burner coming up that's absolutely amazing, but I'm going to go through these first. These are 3 of the Fonthill pieces. One of them is this very, very lovely Mei Ping vase. And this is the original catalog, the estate of Alfred Morrison. This is one of the holy grails of the Asian art world, is that catalog. And there he is, Alfred Morrison, sitting at in his library. And you may recall these giant cloisonne birds had sold some years ago at another auction at in London or New York. I forget who had them, but he had a number of these big cloisonne birds in his house. And this is one of the pieces, is this beautiful, beautiful double-gored Chunlung period vase, cloisonne, of course. And let's check the height on this thing. The height measurements are small. This is a fairly good size one. It's 42 centimeters in height. This is a nice big piece of cloisonne. That puts it in at around, about 42, 18, 19 inches in height. But wonderful color. Looks to be in very, very good condition and so forth. Estimated at 20,000 to 30,000 pounds with the Fonthill Provenance. That is going to push the price. It's going to push the price, and it may go beyond that. All right, and the ditto for this Mei Ping vase estimated at 50,000 to 80,000 pounds. This is a beautiful one. This is a really great looking vase. It's about 15 or so inches in height. It looks also to be in great condition. Good colors. well kept, no dents, no nothing. It's absolutely fine. You do want to get a condition report, but from the photographs, it looks awfully good. And then you have another Fonthill cloisonne piece, and this is the Imperial Cloisonne Enamel Gilt Bronze Square stand, as they call it. It's estimated at 20 to 30,000, and is. I'm going to get the height on the size on this also. Make sure we tell it properly. 22 square by 11 centimeters. So it's basically 7 by 7 by 7 by 7 by 4. And this also, I guess, is from that collection as well. Is this? No, this is from the Stockliff collection. The Stosslet collection. Adolf Stosslet. This is another one. This is a great looking piece of cloisonne, though. It's an early one. It's got some damage to it, I think, maybe right there. You want to get that checked out? I think there's a little bit of a bang on it, maybe, in there. Maybe not. Maybe not. You got to get it. That looks like maybe a little bit of damage. This is a very early one, though. It's a really early piece of cloisonne. Late Ming Dynasty. Estimated at just 6,000 to 12,000 pounds. And then this was the one on the right, is the big incense burner I wanted to talk about. This is a great looking incense burner with dragons, 17th century, late 17th century, or early 17th century rather, or late Ming. Beautifully done, but it is enormous. That's the thing that's got this. We've seen these forms before, and they're 6 inches or 12 inches or something like that. Not that big. This thing is very big. It is. I'm going to give you the exact measurements on this thing. It is 59 centimeters wide. So this thing is 23 inches in width. It's almost 2 feet wide. It's a very big, impressive bronze. Beautiful surface on it. They're calling it just Ming. To me, it looks like it was probably done during the 16th century, late 16th century, but very lovely quality, good patina, well articulated, and it looks to be in very good shape. Of course, you want to get the condition report, but a really fabulous thing all the way through, and marked on the base. And then there's a whole bunch of jades. There's some inlaid bronzes over here, some Qing inlaid bronzes here with silver into them. This thing is rather exceptional. This is a Sung example, I think. Right there, that. You may remember in Rose Kerr's book on later Ming bronzes, there's a somewhat similar one to this one in that book that's a very famous example. I think it's in the British Museum. And here's another one. And I think the estimate on this is very low. Song to Ming Dynasty, modeled in the form of a waterfowl, 9 centimeters, 213 grams, 9 centimeters tall, so it's about 4 inches tall, with a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate on it. That estimate should be blown to bits. That piece should bring 15 or 20,000 pounds, I would think. It's a very rare type, extremely rare and early. But we'll see. There's also some very nice jades in here too, some Ming jades and whatnot, as you can see. And then you get out of that section, you come over here to paintings. There's some really interesting paintings. I love this album here. I think this is a bargain. It's got a bargain estimate on it anyway. A series of 19th century watercolor artists on silk been put into an album. There's 4 of them here. This one is a very attractive waterfront scene. Of course, a lake with a boat, classical, very much in the Sung to Yuan dynasty style, but done in the 19th century. Beautiful work. And then you move along, and then you get to this. This is an interesting thing. This is by Zhu Ming, and he's a contemporary artist. He passed away in 2023, and he was a very famous sculptor in China. He was a Taiwanese sculptor, but he was very famous. And he did this one that was called Single Whip, and this is a reduction of the original that was the present owner, the consignor of this lot here. The way I understand this was written, this was a reduction of the original that they also owned that was donated or given to a public spot in Hong Kong years ago, and this is the original. That's the big one, and then they made several reductions of it for people to be able to buy, obviously, because this thing's a little big to put in your front yard. And this one was let's see, this is Zhu Ming installing this thing in 1986. Single Whip was commissioned by Hong Kong Land in 1986 under the directorship of Lady Wang Davis, her former husband, the purchaser of the present lot. So the lot they're selling came from the family that was involved with the original commissioning of this sculpture. It's estimated, it's got a big estimate, 150 to 250,000 pounds, but I don't think it's a crazy estimate because of who it is and what it represents. And these people are on the very, very, very cutting edge of contemporary, second half of the 20th century Chinese art. These are very influential people. It's quite a powerful sculpture. And of course, the term single whip has to do with the Ming Dynasty, with the edicts that were sent down about the currency consolidation in paying taxes and all. There's a whole thing about single whip, but you can go look it up. But this is, I guess, some sort of a symbol of that. Anyway, I think it's a very striking bronze. I love the patina on it. It's very, very, it's a very powerful looking thing. So we'll see how it does. But I think it'll do well. I think it'll do quite well. And then you get into the rest of the sale, and surprisingly, they have a very nice piece of rhinoceros horn in here, a 19th century example, a long example with a very beautiful root carved base. If you're thinking of buying it, check your laws first because you don't want to get in trouble with customs, and you're going to need to get CITES permits and every other darn thing. And then it comes over to here, and here are two more of my favorite lots in this part of the sale. These very, very nice pair of Tang Dynasty stone carvings. I think these are wonderful, beautifully done, very animated. It's almost like a dog, with its rear leg reaching up to scratch under its chin. The way they've positioned the rear legs on these things. And they are very nice. They're estimated at 20 to 30,000 pounds. They measure about 15 inches in height, roughly, or 16 or 17 inches, I guess, 43 centimeters. And they come from a private collection and so forth. You can get all the provenance on it. There's some reference here to the Minneapolis Institute of Art, the Ruth Dayton Room Fund, and so forth. There's all kinds of information you can get. Tang or perhaps later. They look Tang to me. I thought they were Tang when I saw them. Maybe a little bit later, but they're very old. They're beautiful, and they look to be in wonderful condition. So they are absolutely worth chasing around a bit. And then you have some furniture and other more, the things are more typical. There's a very nice late Ming Dynasty stand. Looks like a good little table, actually. It's well proportioned, beautifully done. And then there's this big 19th century Cantonese cabinet from about 1840 with the very classic lacquer drawer fronts and then reverse paintings on glass. There's a picture of the interior and so forth. These are very nice. They don't generally sell for a lot, but this is a particularly good one. They gave it a very strong estimate, 30 to 50,000 pounds, so we'll see how that does. And then there's some work from Thailand and whatnot, and then lots of bronzes. This is all just part one. This is the part that's so amazing. And then there's a very good section here with carved jades, including this really, really fine lotus group of jades. And these came from, where were these, from Sphinx, I believe? Yes, Sparks, John Sparks. But look at this beautiful lotus carving. Jesus, that's gorgeous. The figure coming up out of it. Wonderful example, a very rare type, actually. And it was done in the 18th century, 30 to 50,000 pounds. It is 16 centimeters in diameter, about 7 inches wide, and expected to get there. To me, it looks like an absolutely outstanding jade carving. Absolutely outstanding, in particular because the lotus is a different color than the figure, and I like that a lot. How the artist worked that out. And then there's other pieces here from Mallet and Company, and I love they have lots of old stickers. And then you have this very nice spinach green jade incense holder. Again, you see these occasionally turning up. They always do pretty well. This one looks to be Qinlong. How did they date it? Qinlong is estimated at $25,000 to $35,000, but again, really great looking jade carving, very, very fine workmanship all the way through, and this is still just day one. It's a lot to look at. A recumbent water buffalo, these always have interest in them, regardless of their age. This one looks to be a 19th or late 18th century example. This could do better than that. Often these do. But this one is, let's see, how big is this? This one is about 7 inches or so in 6 or 7 inches in length. See how that does. Very nice looking lotus example. And then you get into the sort of pocket jades, the horses and all this stuff. There's some great examples, And you can go through their website and look at them and really pull them up and magnify them. There are so many. I don't have time to go through them all because we've got to get over to part 2 and part 3 of this series. Then you have the Blanc de Chine figures, a couple of really, really nice examples. Both of them appear to be 17th century, very creamy. I like the one on the right in particular, with the robe wrapped around like that. Really nice, beautifully done, creamy finish, beautiful folds of the robes. Everything is done well, obviously, and it measures about 8 inches in height, and beautifully done, and estimated at 4,000 to 6,000 pounds. Not an unreasonable estimate at all. That's actually very, very reasonable. Then you get over here more Blanc de Chine, and then some Ming wares, some Jun wares, some underglazed blue wares, you got a 6-character Jiajing Marken period a yellow cup. That's a fairly rare bird right there. Beautiful yellow color, egg yolk yellow. A couple of bowls, and on and on. Then we get into the more, the sort of staid. I've always enjoyed these. I have these around, these big Woolley Guan type jars. They're not worth a huge amount. This is a near pair, and they're giving them very, very modest estimates, 3,000 to 5,000 for the pair. Expect them to bring probably 3,000 to 5,000 a piece is a more reasonable thing, unless they're severely damaged, which they don't appear to be. So don't be surprised. I think some of their estimates are sort of to encourage you to participate, but do participate. One of the things, by the way, that I noticed on their site is that when you open an account, you have to open an account with them. You have to give them a little information. I want to point this out. They want your driver's license and a second form of ID, like a passport, EU identification card or something, because obviously they're dealing internationally. Perfectly reasonable thing. But when you place a bid, they sort of run their bidding platform the way old-fashioned auction houses used to be. They didn't have minimum opening bids and all this on their platform. They just have submit your best bid. Just submit your best bid, whatever it is. So it's pretty fertile ground for just, carpet bombing and leaving lots of bids around and see if you hit on some of them. I mean, don't leave silly bids of, 10 euros or 20 euros, but make, fairly serious offers and load them in there. This is an auction you want to leave bids at. You want to leave lots and lots of bids. And you're going to see as I go through why. All right, and then you have more here. You've got a couple of Qinlong bowls. You've got a Qinlong Dragon Bowl. You've got a very nice Beiping base. You've got some good-looking monochromes of the Qing Dynasty in here. You've got a very handsome pair. Not a pair, but two. And I'm curious as to why they did them this way. Are they damaged or something? And why do they have such low estimates? You want to find out about these because you have two of these. And they are 40 centimeters, 39 and 40 centimeters in height, respectively. They're just slightly different, which is about 18 inches of Kangxi period high neck shoulder vases, estimated at just 5,000 to 8,000 pounds. And that may just be an enticement to get you to bid, because these kinds of vases we've seen in the past in this side sort of routinely sell for $15,000 or $20,000 US each, or 12 to 15,000 pounds each. But here they've got them, the two of them estimated at just 4,000 to 8,000 for the pair. That seems unusual. That seems low. So, by all means, go in and leave a bid for that amount. But as long as they're not heavily restored, you want to get condition reports on them. But that seems like a heck of a bargain. And then you have this big, very nice late Yuan Dynasty Charger. I'm not sure why the estimate on this is so low. Again, you want to find out, get a condition report. It's only estimated at 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, and it's 35 centimeters in diameter. It looks absolutely fine as late Yuan. It's a nice looking piece. I don't see a lot of wear to it. This bowl, I would get some zoom in on that and get some condition reports. And then you have more monochromes. If you're a monochrome buyer, you're going to like this sale a lot. There's a lot of good monochromes in there. As you can see, here's a very nice flambe glazed vase Qinlong period seal marking of the period, 10 to 20,000 pounds. But again, that's a low estimate. I think they're going to blow these. This was sold by Marchants some years ago, so you don't have to worry about the age of that, and move right along. And then you get into the Japanese works of art, which comes up the next day, and this is it. Now, in this catalog, the second catalog says the Japanese works of art, as well as more Chinese works of art. And we're going to go through it because there's so much to look at. One of them is this particularly large incense burner that they have right on the inside cover. This thing is a couple of feet wide. These are some big, gutsy pieces. Always read the dimensions. There's a very nice group of prints in here by Tatsumuru, and then you go through more prints. We don't focus a lot on prints, but there's some good ones in here, and they're all part of Utagawa examples and so forth. If you're a print buyer, you definitely want to check these out because these are old collections of prints and everybody loves them. We're going to talk a little bit about this very, very nice piece of cloisonne that's in here and so forth. But the object section starts out primarily with these bronzes. There's some very nice late Edo and Meiji period bronzes in here, figural bronzes of scholars, immortals, Lohans, and so forth. And some very nice animated example of sort of the high Meiji period and into the early 20th century here. And then popping along, more bronzes. If you're a Japanese bronze collector, you really got to take a look at this sale. There are a lot of good Japanese bronzes in here. I, in particular, like the big panther up here. It's an unusual subject matter, though it's probably a Showa period example. It's awfully nice. I love the big smooth cat. And then down below it, you have a Meiji or slightly later leopard, lion. And then you've got bells. You've got the little Koro incense burner in the form of a hut. You see poor examples of these around. This is a rather good example of one of those. And then you flip on more bronzes. It is mecca for Japanese bronzes in the sale. But this is the massive bronze I was talking about before. 56 centimeters in diameter, about 22 inches wide. Very nicely done. Nice, sort of shallow but very crisply done casting. It's only estimated $800 to $1,200. It's a wonderful bronze, and he's dating it as Meiji, early 20th century, so Meiji, possibly early Taisho period. And then there's this very elaborate, wildly done komai type inlaid incense burner with its cover and all that. It looks to be in very, very good condition. It measures 28 centimeters in height, or about 10 inches, 11 inches tall, roughly. But a beautiful example, exceptional work. And komai pieces have been doing pretty well lately. This one is estimated at $3,000 to $5,000, but it's a lot better than those typical little komai boxes that you see. This is a fully blown out incense burner with some fairly complicated casting, so you expect to pay more for it. And then you move along here, you get into the cloisonne enamels. There's some good section on cloisonne enamel. And then you come over to this. This is one of my most beautiful pieces. Very reminiscent of Namakawa Yatsuyuki work. But this one was done by, they believe, it's attributed to Anaba Nanako. And another major cloisonne maker. It was originally sold by Spink some years ago, and it's estimated at just £1,000 to £2,000. I think that's a really modest estimate, frankly, but it's a beautiful, beautiful example. And there's a whole, they've got the original receipt in here from there and so forth. And this is it with butterflies. A beautiful piece of cloisonne. Beautiful color, a beautifully worked. It looks to be in very fine condition. Again, condition reports always, but a great example. And then you move over into ceramics and glass. And then it goes on from here. You have a fish here that came out of the Getty collection. You've got some really, really fine Somatsuki ware for the Japanese market. These Japanese Arita, sort of odd form fish forms and so forth. Very modestly estimated at just $800 to £1,200 over here. These usually bring quite a bit of money, do very well. Lovely examples there and there, the shell form and the swimming fish form. And these are two of these Somatsuki dishes for the Japanese market. Let's see, Chunchi period. And they're estimated at just $800 to $1,200. They are Chinese for the Japanese market. But I have to think they're probably going to bring probably double or triple that. But you never know. And then there's just a whole page of Arita ware, early Japanese Arita ware. Most of it is 17th and early 18th century. If you're an Arita buyer and you're in the area, go over there and go through these, because I think there's going to be some really, really, really fine Japanese Arita pieces tucked in here, and maybe some nice Arado examples as well. You come over to here, and there's this very nice Kokutani Okimono of a shishi. What are they dating this to? 17th or 18th century. century, but a rare bird, and with a modest estimate of $800 to $1,200, and it measures about 6 inches in height. But look at this thing. It's a very expressive looking shishi. Good colors, good everything. They're just saying probably 8th or 18th century. And then down here, there's another Kokutani box. And then over here is a big Nabeshima plate. This plate is like 33 or 34 centimeters in diameter. It's a charger done in Nabeshima with this very nice old Kitsugi repair running through it. It's got a fairly strong estimate, but it's a very rare type. And if you know about Nabeshima wares, you know that the official Nabeshima wares were only made in certain sizes. And the more typical sizes are the smaller ones. The great big ones are hard to find. And this is a very big one. And even with the repair, they're giving it a 8 to 12,000 pound estimate because of its rare size. Very, very rare size. All right, and then over here, this is the Gordon Getty collection, this very rare pair of Kakiemon modeled to carp, Edo period, 17th to early 18th century, extremely rare. You'll find them in books. You'll find them in the Ashmolean Museum. Here you have a chance to buy 2 of them. The estimate is, what was the estimate again? 18 to 20,000 pounds. But rare things, and they measure around about 10 inches in length each. They're pretty good size. And then moving along over here, we come back to the 9th Marquis of Waterford. He had some really great Kakiemon pieces. And this is the kind of stuff you find in these old British houses. You'll often find a mix of Kangxi period and Qianlong period and Ming pieces. Also very early Kakiemon, early Arita wares. They all went together. That was the style. That was the form. If you have the book Porcelain for Palaces, you'll see all kinds of these in here. And these are all exemplary pieces of Kakiemon. They may have some minor condition issues. You want to get condition reports and so forth. The pair on the right are very, very beautiful. Lightly decorated with an estimate of 5,000 to 10,000 pounds. And they measure roughly around 30 centimeters, about a little over a foot tall each. Very nicely done. And I guess, they have an old family sort of postcard or print with them in the background. But there they are, and exceptional. They appear to have maybe some little repairs to them. Get it checked out. But these faceted Kakiemon jars are pretty rare birds. They don't turn up very often. And then you get over here, there's suits of armor, there are bowls, there are Japanese blue and white Arita bowls, Meiji era, so forth. There's a very nice lacquered porcelain charger up here from the 18th century. I love that. And then more Japanese Arita wares. It just goes on. Then Satsuma, and then some contemporary stuff, some very fine 20th century material. And then you have a beautiful Nanban box, bunko coffer, as they call them. This is a very nice example. This is a small one. It's a tabletop box. It's not a big trunk. Sometimes they did them as huge trunks. You may have seen them. This is a smaller one. Obviously, a very old one. Look at the surface on this thing. And that's what you're paying for. It measures 23 centimeters in length, or about 10 inches. What's that? About 9 inches in length, roughly. 2,000 to 3,000 pound estimate, and dates to the end of the Momoyomo period, 16th century. But beautiful inlay, mother of pearl inlay through it. The metalwork is all original. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. The leather looks good on it. The gilding is a bit worn, as it should be. Very nice looking box. And then you get into lacquerware. More lacquerware. There's lots of lacquerware in here. Good bamboo carvings, drying rack screens, and then lacquer boxes in series. These beautiful roosters. These were done during the late Edo to the Meiji period. And moving along to more boxes of lacquer and so forth. And then these 2 massive heads of Buddhist immortals, probably 19th century, beautifully done, beautifully articulated. And then hopping along, you get into the inros and Netsukes and all this business and pocket things. And it's a really great, look at the thing. There's lots of inros in here, by the way. If you're an inro buyer, you really want to check out this auction. There's some very, very fine estate, and these are estate inros. These have been tucked away for a long time and beautifully done. And the estimates on the inros all seem very reasonable. A couple of thousand, 1,000 to 2,000, 8 to 1,200, that sort of thing. The kind of you can buy these. You have a chance with these if you're a Japanese collector. There's some very good values there, and then you get along into the Netsuke area. There's some rare Netsukes. One of them is this Netsuke of Shoki and the 3 Oni here. I hope they'll blow it up for me. Here we go. There we go. and beautifully carved. So I love coming down over his head. Absolutely great, absolutely great, and estimated at 2,000 to 4,000 pounds, which is not a big deal. That's very reasonable for that. Lots of organic carvings here. Love the frog on the toadstool and so forth. Then you have these lacquered figures and so forth. W.O. Barron's Japanese collection, first sale plates. And there's some things there from the Barron's collection. Masks, all the little doodads you never want to see. These beautiful root carving, these skeletonized figures and so forth. Tall Japanese examples. These are really nice. These are exceptional. If you're a Netsuke or an inro collector, you're going to have to check these out. And it's great to buy these overseas because it doesn't cost anything to ship them. You can ship 10 of these to the United States for about $75, so it's a pretty good deal. These are all nice examples. I love this again, toads and so forth, and it just goes on and on and on. This is if you are a Netsuke buyer, you really want to look at this thing. This is a Seinen figure. It's exceptionally well done, beautifully polished, beautifully carved, and then you have this one of let's see, how big is this thing here? This thing is, Nembutsu is 4 inches in height, so he's pretty good size for one of these. There he is. Look at the face on him. Just a great face. Just a very expressive face. Beautiful finish. Is this boxwood? What is this made out of? Large Japanese bodily carved depicted standing a toothbrush. Doesn't say what kind of wood it is. It looks like it's probably boxwood of some kind. But awfully nice. Awfully nice. And then over here there's some lacquer and coral examples. This one is lacquered. It's not coral. It's lacquer. These are wood, obviously. And then you just keep going through. It's an exceptional thing. Now, this is the fun part of this. Bookmark this section of the sale, because what they did was they have all the marks for the Japanese pieces, so you can save these, and this is a very, very useful thing. You want to save these signatures because you don't find signatures very often published in these kinds of catalogs, and they're wonderful to reference back to. And I know somebody who one time got these kinds of things, and what he did was he saved them, and then he took it into Photoshop and he typed in the names of all the artists around it, so he had it as a quick reference sheet. It's amazing how often it's been useful since. So you could probably do the same thing. So whenever you get the chances to save signatures that have already been looked up, whether it's Satsuma or a Netsuke or Okimono or anything, grab it and save it and hang on to it and put it in a folder somewhere. And they did a good job with it here. I love the fact that they do that. And then heading over here, this is part 3. This is the Asian Works of Art sale. It starts out with some very, very, very good-looking bronzes at the beginning, 17th and 18th century bronzes, some 20th century bronzes, some later bronzes, but they've dated all of them, so you're not going to be confused about what you're buying. There's so many auction houses today, if they don't want to tell you that it's modern, they'll just say 18th century or later. Well, they're basically saying it's modern, in my opinion, most of the time. So if they're willing to put some real dating to it, you want to pay attention. And Woolley Wallis does that, because I think that's because they're known for handling really good Asian works of art. And then you go along through here, there's a whole bunch of nice screens and scrolls. And here you're going to come across pages of smaller things, but there's a lot of them. We're only up to lot 531, and the sale goes up to about lot 900. So there's another 400 lots from here going forward, which is quite astounding. You'll see I see some very, very nice 18th and 19th century cloisonné here. I see some very nice lacquer work. There's some very, very good looking bronzes, some nice looking Uform bronzes, and so forth. Roux scepters, you want to check them all out. This looks like a Ming or maybe late Yuan bronze over here. More cloisonné, some nice carved wood pieces, some nice carved brush pots. There's some old bronzes thrown into the bottom, some Han bronzes, and so forth. You just want to go through it. Some very nice looking watercolors there. These ex-China trade watercolors. These are reversed on glass paintings, even better. Nice ones, 19th century, probably 1840, 1850. Estimated at just $600 to $800, very reasonable. And then there's some beads, more jades, carved lapis, carved more jades, more animal figures. You get the point. This is a sale. You're going to have to go over there, go over to Woolley Wallis's website and thumb through it. You're going to find, in this section here also, you're going to find a lot of interesting, a little bit generous lots of ceramics and so forth, interesting pairs of things, groupings of Lang Yao and Songdo move pieces. If you're a dealer, this is the kind of stuff you could buy and make money with. You definitely want to do that. There's some very nice assortments in here of blue and white. Up here, you have some, looks like, let's see, you've got some, these all appear to be Chinese, maybe a Japanese piece thrown in there. You want to go through them. You just would need to go through them all. And there's a whole lot here of 10 miniature Kangxi period vases. A few may be a little bit later. $500 to $800 estimate, $50 to $80 a piece. Something like that. They're estimating them, but reasonable. These are the kind of things that if you're a dealer, you can buy them, you can get them shipped reasonably. Do check out, register early. One of the things you should really want to do is register early for this sale, because there is a little bit of paperwork to do, and it'll give you plenty of time to go and contact a few shippers over there. They give you the names of some shippers. You can get some estimates from them via the internet. So by the time the sale takes place, you know where you stand as far as what it's going to cost to ship, what it's going to cost to, all the financial stuff to it. You want to have all that figured out. You don't want to rush around and try to do this, 3 days before the auction, because you're just going to be wasting your time and getting frustrated. Start now, do it now, and then go from there. And I said the same with the Roseberry sale. Give them plenty of time. They work hard on these auctions. These guys break their necks, and you want to make sure that there's plenty of time to get everything, all your ducks in a row, get your numbers written down, get your shipping quotes, get everything ready to go, and then you can place good solid bids and buy some things. All right, and this is just look at this. We're only up to lot 720. There's another 100 and something lots to go. It's a very interesting series of sales. Woolley Wallis does these a couple of times a year. They're always very good auctions and so forth. So those of you that never participated, I would suggest you do. They have an excellent reputation. They're like, they're on a par with. I don't like to compare, but they're right up. They're like, the other good auction houses over there: Roseberry's, Druid's, Woolley Wallis, and so forth. This is sort of their level, as they say in the market. You'll find things in here that easily could be at any of the major, slightly larger auction houses. We all know who they are, but here they are coming in here, and they get good things. And the reason they get them is that they're known for getting good prices. Here you have a whole bunch of Ming plates, including this rather nice early 15th or early 16th century, probably Hung Mu plate. So forth. I always like those. And then you come over to the end, and that's it. All right. So do check it out. And another interesting thing, if you're using the flip catalogs that they have, they don't have a back button to the first page, but if you just hit the refresh button, it goes right back to the first page. There you go. All right. So that's all I really have to say on it. It's a good-looking auction, a good-looking series of auctions. They do a beautiful job illustrating. There's lots of information. If it's not in the catalog, it'll be on their website. You can always contact them directly and ask them information. I was in touch with them over a little registration issue I was having today, and they managed to get back to me almost immediately. So I think they're on the ball there, very responsive, and I recommend them. They're a very good auction house, a very, very good auction house. And they have a good reputation. All right, so that's all I have to say on that. Subscribe here if you haven't already. Join us over on Patreon if you want to support our work and the channel and the reviews that we do and so forth. Everything that comes into the site goes into paying for the site. Of course, so, at any rate, here we are. All right, have a wonderful week. We'll be back later in the week with more videos. We'll do the Friday, of course, is coming up, and I got a couple of other sales I'm looking into right now, and we'll come back with more information on them as soon as I can. All right, thanks a lot. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. All right, bye-bye.